The Qigong, the roots of Chinese Qigong, some hypotheses. There are a number of questions which have puzzled Qigong practitioners and acupuncturists for many years. If Qi is the same thing as what is now being called bioelectricity, which Western medical science is just discovering, then certain deduction and hypotheses can be made that might offer convincing explanations for many of these puzzles. In this section, I will try to link together these aspects of Eastern and Western sciences based on my understanding. In this section, I would like to raise some questions and draw some hypotheses concerning, for example, how a human body may react to and be influenced by external electromagnetic fields such as that of the Earth. I hope this section will stimulate your thinking and help the more conservative Qigong practitioners to accept this new science and participate in the future analysis and discussion. The electromagnetic field in the human body. How is the human electromagnetic field formed? Since we and all the other things are formed and live in Earth's magnetic field, our bodies also have a magnetic field of their own. The magnetic field of our body always corresponds with and is affected by the Earth's field. Modern science has shown that magnetic field and electric fields cannot be separated. Faraday's law and Maxwell's equations, and indeed are aspects of the same force. Where there is one, there is also other. This type of field is commonly called an electromagnetic field. Before we discuss how are we affected by the Earth's magnetic field, you must first understand the difference between four terms and that are often confused. The north and the south pole of a magnet, the north and the south magnetic poles of the Earth, the geographic north and south poles of the Earth, and fourth, the actual north and south poles of the Earth magnet. A piece of bar magnet has two poles, the north and the south pole. The lines of force outside of the magnet start from the north pole and end at the south pole, while the lines inside the magnet go from the south pole to the north pole. This is defined as the north and the south poles of a magnet. Now let us take a look at the basics of the Earth's magnets. If you place a bar magnet in the Earth's magnetic field, the magnet will align itself with the Earth's field. The north pole of this bar magnet is the north-seeking pole, which points towards north, and the Earth's magnetic field, which is called the North Pole. Naturally, the pole which points to the south is defined as the South Pole. Therefore, the poles on a magnet are defined according to the direction they point to within the Earth's magnetic field. Furthermore, we have defined the pole of the Earth towards which a magnet's north pole points the Earth's magnet north pole, while the other end is the Earth's magnetic south pole. Essentially, this means that for ease of navigation and through convention, the Earth's magnetic North Pole is for all intents and purposes considered to lie in the same direction as the Earth's geographically North Pole. In fact, however, the geographic North and South Pole of the Earth do not actually coincide with the magnetic poles. The Earth's magnetic field. Current loop inside the Earth. This works with the hollow Earth theory, Let us take a closer look. We know that permanent magnets are a collection of current loops. If the axis of the assumed current loop is more or less along the direction of the Earth's axis of rotation, the magnetic North Pole will approximately coincide with the geographic north, as it actually does. In fact, the magnetic North Pole is north in Canada. This means that compass needle does not point exactly north except at certain places. The difference between geographic north and magnetic north is called magnetic declination. This quantity varies from about 25 degrees east to 20 degrees west for different places in the United States, and also varies slowly from year to year. We also know that the Earth's magnetic field has started at the geographic South Pole and ended at the geographic North Pole for at least the last million years, although evidence suggests that during the last several million years the magnetic poles of the Earth have reversed several times. In 1570, an English court physician, William Gilbert, constructed a permanent magnet in the form of a large lodestone sphere. He used a small compass needle to survey the magnetic field near the surface of the sphere, and discovered that this model successfully represented the main features of the Earth's magnetic field. In his survey, he discovered that in a point in northern hemispheres, such as in England or the United States, the field is directly downward and to the north. Therefore, we can reasonably assume that a relatively short magnet, several hundred miles long, is buried deep inside the Earth, since the lines of force are directed downward for an observer in the northern hemisphere. We may assume that the Earth's magnet has an S-pole on the end, which is beneath the north magnetic pole. Therefore, what we usually call the Earth's north magnetic pole is actually the south pole of the Earth's magnetic field. In other words, the actual magnetic poles of the Earth are the reverse of how they are shown on navigation maps. The ordinary compass needle responds only to the horizontal components of the Earth's magnetic field, since it pivoted in such a way as to prevent up and down motion. If a magnetized needle is mounted so as to free to swing in a vertical north-south plane, it is free to point in the direction of the field, and in the northern hemisphere it will assume a position in which it points downwards and to the north. Such an instrument is called a dip needle. The angle of a dip figure there, that's a dip needle. The angle of a dip is measured for the horizontal. For example, value for the horizontal and vertical components of B for the Earth's field from the B for the Earth's field at Washington D.C. have shown that the vertical component is about 3 times the horizontal component at this location. Once you have assimilated the above concept, let us now analyze our body's magnetic field. We know that when a piece of steel is placed inside a magnetic field, it becomes a magnet. Since our bodies are made up of conductive material and we are in the magnetic field of the Earth, it is reasonable to assume that our bodies are like magnets. Since a magnet has 2 poles that must be located on the center line of the magnet, we can easily guess that the poles of our bodies must be somewhere on the head and the bottom of the abdomen. If we stand either the northern or southern hemisphere, note the Earth's magnetic field passes through our bodies horizontally if we stand on the equator. The reason for this assumption is that the spinal cord is made of highly electrical conductive fibers that connect the head to the sacrum. Thus, our task is to locate the poles of the human magnet. Since our body's magnetic field is formed under the influence of the Earth's magnetic field, the north and the south pole of your body will be determined by whether you are in the northern or southern hemisphere. For example, if you are standing near the North Pole, the lines of force of the Earth's magnetic field will enter your body through your head and emerge from the bottom of your body. Naturally, if you are near the South Pole, then the lines of force of the Earth's magnetic field will enter the bottom of your body and exit from your head. This means that if you are at the Earth's North Pole, your head will be a South Pole while your abdomen will be a North Pole. Naturally, the situation will be reversed if you are at the Earth's South Pole. like that. Since your body, I believe this means that if you live in the northern hemisphere, your brain, upper dantian, is constantly being nourished and stimulated by the energy from the lower dantian. However, if you live in the southern hemisphere, your lower dantian chi will be stronger, and naturally the sexual energy will also be strong. This may be a possible explanation for why more human technology was developed in northern hemisphere. When you are lying down or on the equator, the poles are on the sides of your body and they change every time you move. This probably means that under these circumstances, the Earth's magnetic field only has a minimal effect on your body. Now let us discuss how this is related to Qigong. Assuming that you are in the northern hemisphere, your head should be a south pole while your abdomen is a north pole, excluding all of the other factors such as location, weather, etc. The strength of your magnetic field depends on the natural qualities of your body. This may be what the Chinese mean by original essence. It is analog to the fact that when you place high quality refined steel in a magnetic field, the magnet formed will have a strong magnetic field than if you had used poorly refined steel. Since the magnet is stronger, the magnetic energy will last longer. Similarly, if you receive high quality original essence from your parents, your body's magnetic field will be strong, and the chi or electrical energy circulating in your body will be strong and smooth. This means that your vitality will be great, and you will probably have a long and healthy life. If this line of reasoning is valid, then we are able to explain something that has been confusing Qigong meditators. According to past experience, mostly from meditators in the northern hemisphere, when a person meditates facing south, he is able to obtain a stronger qi flow and is able to balance his qi more quickly than if he were facing another direction. Facing south lines up the incoming energy with the small circulation of energy down the center of the front of the body and up the spine. Since the form of the body is yin, it absorbs energy more easily than the back sides or sides. Another possible explanation is related to the fact that we tend to turn and look at people who are talking to us if this lets us hear them better. Since your mind has a considerable influence on your body's energy, facing into the incoming energy may also help you to absorb and digest it. We can also explain why many Qigong practitioners claim that if you sleep with their head pointing north, they sleep better and feel more rested and balanced the next morning. However, if you sleep sitting up, you should again face south. These two claims become reasonable and understandable if we accept the concept of a bipolar human magnetic field. It is clear that the energy pattern in the human body are affected by natural forces. It is also clear that the energy from the sun has more significant effect than the energy from the earth. This leads me to believe that when you are meditating during the day, you should face the east simply because the influence of the sun's energy is more significant than the earth's magnetic field. During the night, when the influence of the sun has waned, it is probably best to face south if you are in the northern hemisphere. Within the human magnet, we may again assume that there are millions of smaller magnets that correspond to the cells. Just as every cell has its own minute electrical field, so too does each cell have its own magnetic field. Indeed, the two are merely different aspects of the same force. When all of these small magnetic fields are combined together, they form a complete human magnetic field. All of these magnetic fields remain steady as long as there is no other energy source to disturb them. However, whenever any extra energy is generated, either inside or outside of this field, the field will no longer be steady and an electrical current will be generated. Each time this happens, the body's field must rebalance itself, and a new pattern of energy must be formed. This means that if there is no energy source for the human magnet, the magnetic field will not be disturbed, and naturally there will be no energy circulating in this field. In this case, the body is dead. However, when you are alive, food and air essence generate energy inside your magnetic field through biochemical reaction. This energy builds up in your solar plexus and then circulates throughout your body by way of the chi channels, which are highly conductive paths through the facial tissue. As the energy circulates in your body, it is important that every part, especially the organs, receive the right amount in order to function properly. Let us take even a closer look. According to Chinese medical science, the electricity qi circulates through your body from one channel to the next in specific order. One end of each channel is therefore positive and the other end negative. If an acupuncturist wishes to use a magnet to correct the qi level of a channel, he must know how the magnetic field will influence the internal qi circulation. He must know how qi circulation and in what direction it circulates. He must also know how to orient the poles of the magnet. Wrong orientation will only worsen the situation. According to reports I have read about the use of magnets in acupuncture, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Possibly the failures are due to the acupuncturist not taking the orientation of the magnets into account. Time and the human electromagnetic field, since we are a part of the Earth's electromagnetic field, our own fields are affected by variations in Earth's energy field. Those variations can be caused by such sources as the moon, the sun, or even the stars. The most obvious cycle that we are exposed to is that of the day. Every 24 hours, our bodies should go through a cycle as the Earth rotates once and goes through a cycle of light and day. The rotation of the Earth is in turn affected by sun's energy. It has been proposed that there is another cycle generated by the moon's influence on the Earth's energy pattern, which repeats every 28 days. Since the sun moves higher and lower above the southern horizon throughout the year, our bodies also go through a year cycle as well. The Chinese believe that the Earth and the human beings go through other cycles every 12 and 60 years because of the influence of the stars. If you wish to study the human electromagnetic field, you must also take all of these cycles into your consideration. Human magnetic model. Based on the above information, I would like to offer a magnetic model for a human being in the northern hemisphere on Earth. In Qigong society, it is common knowledge that there are 3 energy storage areas from which energy can be taken and used without limit. These 3 places are called dantians, or the fields of elixir. The lower dantian is thought of as the furnace of original qi. Let us consider it the north pole of the human magnetic field, since the energy originates there. Let us consider the upper dantian, the third eye, to be the south pole. Because it receives energy. Science tells us that the lines of force in a magnetic field start from the North Pole and end up at the South Pole. In Qigong practice, the qi originates at the lower dantian and ends up at the upper dantian. To nourish the brain, the North Pole is higher in energy and is in a relatively excited state, while the South Pole is lower in energy and is in a calm and steady state. In his response on biomagnetics, Richard Leviton states, one magnetic practitioner, both a physician and a researcher, is Dr. Richard Broeringmeyer, a chiropractor, nutritionist, and publisher of the Bioenergy Health newsletter in Murray, Kentucky. Life is not possible without electromagnetic fields, he said, and optimum health is possible if the electromagnetic fields are out of balance for long periods of time. Magnetic energy is nature's energy in perfect balance. Each of a magnet's two poles has a different energy and influence, says Bro Eringmeyer. The bipolar function is near the heart of biomagnetism. In regards to the poles, I believe that it is the magnetic north pole at the lower dantian which offers energy or chi. It is able to increase the overall vital life force, strength, and development of a living system. In contrast, the south pole or the upper dantian accepts energy or chi. It acts to slow down, to calm, and to control the development of a living system. You may understand now why I have located poles of our magnetic field on either side of the middle dantian. The middle dantian can be considered the furnace where the essence of food and air are converted into electricity and generate an EMF for circulation. The above assumptions are based on Chinese Qigong systems that were developed in the northern hemisphere of the earth. Over the last several thousand years, I do not know if this theory is accurate or how the poles affect living things in the southern hemisphere. The implication, however, is that people in the southern hemisphere have their magnetic poles reversed from how they are in the northern hemisphere. In other words, their upper dantian will offer energy while the lower dantian will receive it. Can this mean that while the brain of people in the northern hemisphere are constantly being nourished, the brain of people in the southern hemisphere are being depleted? Does this explain why most technology was developed in the northern hemisphere? Do people in the southern hemisphere live longer because their lower dantian is in their south pole, and it absorbs and retains chi better than the dantian of a person in the northern hemisphere? I have heard of several doctors who recommend that patients who have lost their energy balance spend time on the equator, where the Earth's magnetic field has minimal effect and their bodies will be able to rebalance themselves. These are exciting and challenging ideas. It is a time for a wide-scale study of human energy or Qigong in every corner of this world. I agree.